Hi, my name is Julia Bliss, and this is my Hospitality Marketing and Revenue Management HRA 410 simulation video. This simulation was very helpful in the understanding of marketing and revenue management, as well as customer relations. It really helped me understand how difficult it is to have a good product, good customer service, and be successful monetarily. When looking at the different segments and customer analyses, I was able to see which customers were happy with my decisions and, in turn, who spent the most money on my product. With the customer satisfaction section, I was able to see what each customer did and did not like specifically and why. This was extremely helpful in every simulation run that I did, because when you appeal to an individual's needs and wants, they are much more likely to buy your product, especially when they can tell you the specific things that are wrong with your product, such as the design flaws, the thermal issues, and the production mishaps. This way I was able to put more money into these specific areas so as to improve their quality, and that usually was helpful for the customer and in turn my revenues. Being able to understand segmentation, targeting, and positioning was important in this simulation because it impacted my decisions for each area of the firm. I was able to determine which area needed the most focus, and through trial and error, as well as my previous knowledge from class, improve said area either slightly or greatly, depending on the issue at hand. The pricing strategy was obviously of extreme importance in this simulation. I found that starting with a drastic change in price, discounts, and money put into certain areas of production and customer service was usually the best way to go. I would then stick with these decisions for a few quarters, and as soon as I saw satisfaction begin to drop, and therefore revenues begin to drop, I would change certain areas ever so slightly. For example, I began changing my list price from $142 to $150. Eventually, though, I would start to see that drop of customer satisfaction and income, so I would move down to $148 or $149. Just a small change like that didn't negatively affect my income often, because when the customer sees the lower price, they're more willing to make a larger purchase, which helped my income in the end. I would usually see this with the distribution of funds amongst power to size ratio spending, manufacturing efficiency improvements, and thermal resistance. Thermal resistance feature spending. Oftentimes, there were manufacturing or thermal issues, so when I put more money into those areas, I would usually see a positive response monetarily from my consumers, because that meant that I was hearing their needs and doing everything that I could to better serve them. I tried to be relatively consistent in my decisions and customer relations. Every customer should be treated of equal importance. However, if a customer felt that he or she was not getting a good customer service, I would raise their dealings with our customer service staff or whatever the need may be. It was like balancing a scale. You have to give a little on one side sometimes and then a little to the other side sometimes as well. But as long as no one is getting much more attention than the others, usually things were running smoothly. It also helped to see whether or not they enjoyed the customer satisfaction, or whether they were satisfied with the customer relations or not. All of the financial metrics available to us in this simulation were extremely beneficial in performance analysis. Market share is definitely the area I focused on the most, and being able to see how each individual segment felt and reacted to my decisions helped me tremendously with my decisions for the next quarter. I often also used the income statement section to see where I was doing with my revenues and my cumulative profit. I felt that while this simulation was helpful in many ways, it was also a little more confusing than necessary. I didn't feel like I quite understood why everything happened the way that it did. Most of my decisions and their outcomes made sense. However, there were many times I would do something that only made perfect sense to me, and I would lose money or make less than I did the last quarter, when all I did was make an improvement. I also believe that for this class, it would have been more beneficial to be dealing with hospitality-related information as opposed to general business. However, I understand that those resources may have not been available. Overall, I think this was a good learning experience for me as a future manager, and I'm excited to use the things that I've learned from all of these different sections in my future job as a manager.